Misfits 16, who's the headliner? Well, we may have the answer for you.
Mams Taylor tweeted, MMA guys, you're up next, BL. I think that could only mean one thing.
We covered it on Misfits News a lot, and it's the Mike Tyson fight has been postponed. Gideon, he actually said he might be joining Misfits later on this year. Could you confirm anything, any truth behind this?
Let's wait and see.
Is August the date that we could possibly see the Nightmare return?
That's what everyone's been saying. You know, maybe that's one of the rumors that that might be true. What I didn't like is that he tweeted about it. That was not supposed to be public knowledge. The facts are there. Jake Paul is a duck.
Misfits 16, what can they expect from this event coming up?
I'm almost done with the card, and everyone who knows that they're fighting is training.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a while, but it's my pleasure to welcome you back to Misfits News. As always, I'm your host, Ben the Bane Davis, joined by my co-host, BL. And yes, we took a little bit of a break during Misfits 14, 15. The entire month of May, we were a bit stretched thin with our new show, Misfits on Tour, a rebrand of the vlog series. Hope you guys enjoyed it. But now we're back, and there is a lot of crossover combat sports news to cover, BL.
It's been an exciting day, and it's been an exciting few weeks. You know, we had two events back to back. What fights we had. However, as we say, we're back on Misfits News. We've got some big topics, and today is a big day for topics. I tell you something. So let me give you the rundown before we get into the episode. So to start off, we've got Misfits 16. Headline has been revealed. KSI and Jake Paul have been going back and forth non-stop. And of course, the big one, the Mike Tyson fight has been postponed.
Wow, wow, wow. Who could have seen it coming? A 60-year-old Mike Tyson not being able to make it to the ring. A shocker. BL, I don't know if you thought this or maybe seen it coming, but I certainly did. But I will say, some other breaking news, right? The Nightmare returns. He states, I've got a fight lined up in August. It looks like we're finally seeing the Misfits CEO step back into the ring. BL, the big question is, against who?
There are some big fights for the Nightmare KSI. As we always say, we toss it up with Masvidal. We toss it up with Slim, with AT. There's so many questions. But the one I'm interested in, and the one that we've got in trouble with on Twitter, AMIR Khan. It's a one that, for me, makes sense. It's a super fight, and it's one that would sell out Wembley in London.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we talked about KSI versus someone, but the main thing with AMIR Khan was Slim. We felt Slim versus AMIR Khan would be a fun fight. Wade obviously disagreed. Shout out to my boy. He felt it was a sacrifice fight, which I don't.
Sacrificial lamb.
A sacrificial lamb is, I believe, what he said, right? I don't know if I subscribe to that philosophy. I think it'd be a fantastic pay-per-view. The durability of AMIR Khan is completely in question and shattered beyond belief. Slim can crack. I think that the speed would probably give him some issues. And again, AMIR Khan is a very, very highly regarded boxer, even if he's several years removed from retirement. But it'd be a fun fight. It'd be a great pay-per-view. And imagine if Slim gets it done, right? Imagine if Slim KOs AMIR Khan. Maybe he'd be too big for KSI then, right? Maybe it'd be Slim versus Canelo. I mean, there's so many options.
It's a real question. I mean, to be fair, that's a fight we spoke about. And I think it's something we need to clarify because Mams got a lot of backlash about it. And we were the ones that actually suggested it in the group chat. And where it stemmed from, Daily Perales said, Deji would be interested in fighting AMIR Khan. And we went,
yeah,
well, instead of Deji, why don't we throw Slim in there? And then the winner, which Mams then said, the winner would then fight KSI, which, as you say, and I'm reiterating your point, would be a great super fight and could be a superstar performance from Slim. I mean, in my opinion, there's no losses there for Slim. He takes that fight, he lands one big shot, wobbles AMIR Khan. Imagine the highlight reel you have. And this is the tactics that Jake Paul employs. He uses this when he's fighting these bigger names, which are a bit more washed up. And he knows no matter what, he's going to win out of that fight.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, why are we drawing the lines in the sand right now for Slim? You know, you're saying, hey, Slim needs to do something to prove he's worthy of a KSI fight or a bigger pay-per-view opportunity. Deji went and fought Floyd Mayweather. Logan Paul went and fought Floyd Mayweather. Why can't AMIR Khan fight Slim and vice versa, right? I just don't see why there's such a hullabaloo, you know what I'm saying, about it, a big old issue. You know, if we don't have plans at present for Slim and Slim saying, hey, you know, they're not offering or whatever else, right? Offer that. But either way, the reason why we're talking about this AMIR Khan Slim, AMIR Khan versus KSI is because of the issue that is going on with Jake Paul and Mike Tyson BL.
I saw on Twitter, I was on my phone, I was going through it, and I saw Mike Tyson has had something going on the plane. Now, I'm going to go officially over, I'm going to read it so I don't get my facts wrong. What was actually said by MVP? The MVP statement goes as follows. The fight has been postponed due to a follow-up consultation on Mike's recent ulcer flare-up. The recommendation is for Mike Tyson to do minimal light training over the next few weeks. Now, to me, Ben, I don't know about you, that sounds concerning, especially of a man of 60 years old.
Yeah, I would say the larger narrative here is the age. Ulcer flare-ups are not the most disastrous thing in the world. They can be caused for a myriad of reasons. And at the end of the day, they boil down to just mild irritation in your stomach. That's pretty much what it is. So I'm not saying that he's having this like emergency. He's got to go to the hospital. Oh my God, Mike Tyson's going to die. Like, I think Happy Punch and everybody spun that story way out of proportion. I mean, I'm not going to bat for MVP or Jake or anybody, but like, I don't think it was the biggest thing in the world. However, it's just ill-timed. It's not really convenient for them to have this occur, and then him being limited to minimal to light training. I mean, again, like Mike Tyson could do as hard of training as he wants, and he's still gonna get killed. Like, it doesn't matter.
Did you hear what Mike Tyson actually said to Jake Paul?
What'd he say?
He say, this rest is going to give you a better chance in beating me. He said he's going to give him extra
It's
time.
just delusional, man. It's just all delusional.
I love the confidence.
You're 60. I love the confidence too, man, but this is what's caused all these other matchups to be considered. KSI versus Jake Paul on July 20th on Netflix. I mean, that'd be fun. I know that the weights probably aren't going to work out, and obviously if KSI has something booked, he said he's fighting in August, so clearly there's existing plans, but I talk about a real cool potential hypothetical of KSI diving in, saving the day, and then beating Jake Paul. Wouldn't that be something crazy?
I love it. I love it. I mean, what a fuck you that would be to Jake Paul if he was able to do it. And also, he'd be saving Jake Paul similarly how he did with Logan Paul back in the day as well. He saved Logan Paul. He said, come here, let's do the boxing. And then they became partners. So I'm seeing a similar narrative here. And if KSI wants to jump on Netflix, and again, it would still be the biggest card of all time. I would love to see it, but realistically, are we going to see it? That is another question.
Yeah, and like I think if KSI did go fight Jake Paul on July 20th, you could absolutely write in some sort of a rematch clause that is instantly activated for KSI, because the built-in reasoning if he loses is, I didn't have any notice. I'm doing you a favor by keeping this card together. Saving July 20th should absolutely be paramount in MVP and Jake Paul's minds, because you're not fucking yourself over. You're fucking over a lot of people. And yes, you could make the argument that it's not our fault. It's because of this unfortunate situation. And I would agree, but I would also state it's still kind of your fault.
For choosing someone that's 60 years old.
Yeah.
I mean,
for doing this in the first place. Yeah, for putting this matchup together. So I don't know. I think that saving the event is the biggest thing that everyone should be trying to do. And if I'm MVP, I'm texting KSI going, what is it going to take?
How much?
What can we do? How much? Name the price. Because I think whatever way you cut the cake, it'd probably be a significantly bigger rematch, unless Jake goes out there and like knocks KSI out instantly, which would be pretty depressing for everybody. I mean, I for one would be like, damn, well, there goes that.
That's the fight over.
There goes that, man. We've been talking about this for 6 years.
And he just...
Yeah. So maybe, now that I'm vocalizing this out loud, maybe it's fine if we push this back, but I don't want to push it back too soon. I saw, I think Jake said something about February 2025. You kidding me?
I think they're rescheduling. If I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's October, November time. They're rescheduling this Mike Tyson fight, and then in February he'd fight KSI, because obviously he'd need a camp for KSI. He wouldn't be able to go in December. KSI said he wanted to fight Jake in December, and Jake is saying no, let's do February because I'm fighting Mike in October, November. So again, it's sort of, there's always hurdles. That's the real problem. And then you've got people like Logan Paul jumping in and saying, let me fight you, brother, which is a little bit of a weird scenario.
Yeah. Well, and again, I don't mean any disrespect by this necessarily, but Logan does always seem to put himself in some of these circumstances, right? It feels like whenever it's something involving Jake, wasn't there a situation where he brought, like, Celsius was sponsoring a Jake Paul fight, and then Logan brought his prime. And he was like, what do you mean I can't bring my prime out?
What's wrong with that? The competitor.
What's wrong with the competitor being showcased on camera? So I mean, no shocker that Logan is saying, "Hey, I want to fight." And if that came to fruition, I mean, Paul on Paul action, I think that would probably be a huge fight as well. Jake would kill Logan, in my opinion, but it'd be a big fight. And again, it speaks to the nature of saving this event.
Well, with so many questions, of course, we want to see KSI return. He's saying he's returning. The Nightmare's returning in August. I think there's only one man to really confirm what's going on. Please welcome the man of the hour, the architect, Mams Taylor, to the Misfits news booth. Mams, it's great to have you back. How are we today?
Great. How are you, Beal?
I'm doing very well, thank you. I'm doing very well. But I need to talk about those two events we just had. They were exciting. They were fun. Can you give me your review on how you rank them?
I don't know how I rank them, but I was very pleased with both. Obviously, a lot of takeaways to keep improving and keep getting better and bigger. But you know what's crazy is that's now 4 events in a row that have outperformed the last and set a new record for each in viewing figures for a non-pay-per-view.
Wow, amazing.
4. It keeps
When you-
getting better.
When you say
And-
that, can you get specific on maybe the numbers and peel back that curtain on the analytics a little?
I can't. That's a DAZN thing. And but look, they're very pleased. If our numbers are subpar, we get a call a lot quicker to be told, hey, it's not, this didn't perform very well. Obviously, I know why 13 numbers piqued a lot of interest. It was trending for the wrong reasons. So I don't know how much that counts or doesn't count. But obviously, that's my least favorite event for obvious reasons. But I was really pleased with Elle. She's a superstar. She's a complete superstar. Paige is a pleasure to work with. And they're both tough, gritty girls, and I want to get them back in as soon as possible. So that was great. And then in the UK, the show we had was amazing too. Like, I'm really excited about what's to come. We've got busy calendar ahead for the next 12 months.
It's exciting to hear. Busy calendar for sure. Now, I want to talk about someone, a surprise guest we had on Misfits on Tour, Gideon. He actually said he might be joining Misfits later on this year. Could you confirm anything, any truth behind this?
Let's wait and see. Listen, surprises, I'm not saying this is a surprise, but surprises seem to find a way of spoiling themselves in our community, don't they? So let me not be the one to spoil anything.
Well, shifting gears a little bit with another individual in the Misfits universe and some talk about him, I think we need some clarification on Slim and AMIR Khan. This is a matchup that has spiraled, I think, out of proportion. Take us back to the origin of how this idea came about.
Actually, I think you guys can shed more light on that than I can.
We're going to take the fault for it because you seem to get a lot of backlash for it. And we were the ones that threw it in the group chat for you. In my opinion, I was really excited for it. What was Slim's response to the proposal of the fight?
Look, I didn't have a problem with Slim saying no to AMIR Khan. That's a tall order. It's a very big leap to go against a proper world champ, Olympic silver medalist, one of the fastest hands, in the sport. So I wasn't annoyed about that. It was more that there were also people forgot and people fixated on the fact that I offered AMIR Khan as a potential fight for Slim. That only came to that after 7 or 8 other proposals were sent his way. All due respect to Slim, he had multitude of options, and there were different guys at this level, that level, and then it was like I want bigger. I was like, well, all right, you guys came up with the AMIR Khan suggestion. I thought it was great, and the whole thing was the storyline would have been Slim versus AMIR Khan, and the winner fights KSI. Not that AMIR Khan needs to earn a win, but I thought it would be cool to basically introduce him to the Misfits universe, get people talking. If AMIR Khan does what he's supposed to do against Slim, that creates an even bigger build for the JJ fight. If Slim beat AMIR Khan, there's absolutely no way he's not getting the JJ fight. That's got to happen. A guy on my roster who is my champion ends up beating a legend like that. It's a win-win. From my perspective, that's where it was coming from when you guys came up with the name of AMIR Khan. And I think that was a great idea in theory. And listen, even if Slim got in there and held his own, he'd be a winner. Listen, Elle just got a draw and knocked down Paige Van Zandt. I'm not comparing AMIR Khan to Paige Van Zandt, but I'm saying in principle, it's the same thing in terms of look at Elle's star power after that performance. She's the only person who has ever knocked down Paige Van Zandt. Now, Paige got up, so she took her time, got up, did amazingly, and recovered really well. And I think the draw was the right decision. It sets up a really beautiful future fight between them in the UK. So my point is, I don't think anything bad would have come from that,
Yeah.
personally. But I do respect and understand. What I didn't like is that he tweeted about it. He's the one who let the cat out the bag about Amir Khan. That was not supposed to be public knowledge. I have since messaged Amir to try to make this fight with KSI happen. So let's see how that progresses. And that's it. I think either way it's going to be, if KSI fights Amir Khan, that's a fantastic fight for the UK. It'll be massive. But everyone keeps leaking stuff. And you know what? At this point, I just put red herrings out there.
Yeah.
So that MVP's little Nikisa hiding behind that MVP account can tweet out something. Oh yeah, by the way, Amir Khan is a good, like, oh, something. So yeah, I just put stuff out at this point. Either way, I think Amir Khan's a really cool guy. Great I've been speaking to him for a little while. I'd love to have him in a Misfits ring.
You mentioned that you gave Slim about 8 or 9 different opponents, and he turned them down. Was there any names that Slim gave back to you? Did he ever tell you and say, hey, this is a person I would like to fight? Or was it just denial?
Well, he wants to fight KSI. He wants to fight Gibb. Those are not plausible options right now. Gibb seems to be happy in retirement, and KSI, it's not that easy because you got half the people saying, okay, that'll be great, and then half, maybe even more than half, saying, why are you taking on Slim, like after Tommy Fury? It's impossible in this job to make everyone happy. It's impossible. Yeah. Absolutely impossible. Whatever way you go, people are going to be upset, people are going to be angry, people are going to be excited, people are going to be happy. Also, it's not something that lays squarely on my chest, and it's not always my decision. KSI's fights are decided by KSI's trainers, and KSI listens to what his trainers say. And we got the Tommy fight done, and I'm really glad. I think he showed his levels, and I think even though the result didn't go the way that it should have, he showed that he can certainly hang. So I think overall KSI's confidence is there, and it's we got to get him some interesting fights that he's gonna enjoy. I mean, he doesn't need to do this. He doesn't want to become a world champion. He's doing this because he's having fun with it, and he enjoys boxing. So we'll see where it all goes.
Is there ever a thought in your mind about how, with Slim denying these types of different opponents, you sort of say as the promoter, well, as the champion, you have to actively defend? I mean, in the UFC, if you choose to not defend the belt against contenders, Dana will probably at some point in time strip you, vacate the belt, something of that nature. Do you think that with Slim turning down opponents, that could be something in the future that might unfortunately happen?
Honestly, I didn't have a mandatory because I think the Raksu and OJ fight ended in a draw, right? That took away my ability to say, okay, this is the #1 contender. And I don't want to be unfair on Slim, and I also understand his perspective on things. But Slim and I have a great relationship. If there were a clear-cut mandatory and he didn't accept it, then same with anybody on the roster, they would lose their belt, and we'd go from there.
Well, I want to touch base slightly on something you said earlier. Obviously, KSI's return. The Misfits fans are so excited. Twitter is revving again. So could you sort of go into a little bit of detail? Is August the date that we could possibly see the Nightmare return?
I think that's what everyone's been saying. Maybe that's one of the rumors that might be true. Maybe
the red herrings. The red herrings are gonna just simply continue.
Yeah,
we
August 22,
we'd love that.
June 7th.
There you go. Yeah, just name every day in August as when he's coming back. But is Amir Khan someone that could be in that conversation for KSI in August?
At the pace it's going, I don't know that I could make that happen in August. I would love to, but I don't think it's possible. The ball's in Amir's court. I'm waiting for feedback, and obviously on Twitter he reignited the conversation, and then I texted back. I'm like, so are we doing this? So hopefully we can. JJ really wants it. JJ wants basically to plan something really massive in December as well, and we would love that to have been Jake Paul. To be honest with you, it just feels like at this point it feels like it's mission impossible. They will only fight him if they're at a severe advantage over him, if he's at a severe disadvantage. I don't know how anyone can see it differently. If their weight classes are just impossible and not compatible, you can't make a fantasy matchup between Floyd Mayweather and Mike Tyson in his prime or something like that. So it's not that extreme, but if Jake's decided now to put on another 50 pounds or something, which I don't think that's the case, but if he has, then obviously he doesn't really have a KSI fight in mind. That's not what he wants to do. We spoke about 175. We spoke about 180 pounds. It was actually agreed that we fight at 180 pounds. With a rehydration clause to make it more fair and balanced, because Jake is naturally a bigger guy than JJ. JJ said, fuck it, let me fight him at 185. Let's just make it 185 and let's make this happen. And now it's like 200 pounds. So it's every time we get there, like the goalpost keeps moving. So I feel bad, because if there was any way to give this fight fairly to the fans, they deserve it. They really deserve it. They've been invested in this story. They've been invested in both Jake and KSI. And at least for the fans, they should do it. But at the same time, why should KSI be jumping to the beat of Jake Paul's drum? It's not how it works. And everyone knows, you can see on social media, you can see on the numbers everywhere. JJ's numbers are just bigger. It's a fact. Jake, however, he's more invested in boxing. He's been boxing consistently for years and years now. And if he wants to be this big pro champion and everything else, what weight division is he aiming to do that in? Is he trying to be a heavyweight now? He's going to fight Usyk at some point.
Yeah, you didn't hear? Jake Paul versus Usyk
it's
is
the next
signed
fight to
and
make in
sealed for
December.
March 2025.
So I know he said Canelo a couple of times, but I'm assuming he's waiting for Canelo to get his senior citizen pass before he takes him on. Mike was such a terrible idea, man. It was such a terrible idea. I'm not saying this as a Jake Paul rival. 20 years ago, Mike bowed out. He didn't have what he had when he started at that point. He was burnt out from boxing. Why put yourself in a dangerous position? And really, if Jake wins that fight, how does that reflect on him? If he really wants to be a world champ, I think the wool's been pulled over everyone's eyes to some extent here. It's like, I want to be the world champ. Let me keep this narrative going and keep doing these fights. And he makes fun of Misfits. We have our gimmicks and we're proud of our gimmicks, but all his fights are gimmicks too, except for the one with Tommy Fury, and we know how that turned out.
Yeah, I think it would have been a really uncomfortable fight, and hopefully instead of postponed, it's just canceled outright. But for a brief moment, it did look like KSI would swoop in and save that July 20th event. Can you talk to us about that 24-hour period when it was announced that it was canceled and people started calling for JJ to step in? Was there any legitimate conversations going on behind the scenes?
So basically, no. With 5 First of all, this goes back to the money. I heard it's a big, big check. I already know JJ well enough, and I know myself well enough, that the money is secondary. JJ fighting for any amount of money, he wouldn't fight Jake Paul for any amount of money without having the proper camp and a fair deal. It's got to be fair. We're not here saying, let's take advantage. We're saying, you believe you're A-side. We know we're A-side, but let's put all that shit aside and split everything. Flip coins where we need to. Let's give the fans what they want once and for all. Let's do this. But it can't be like, oh, JJ has been on multiple vacations, been eating whatever the heck he wants to eat. Now let's get him 5 weeks to have a massive, massive fight against Jake Paul. Imagine how long it's taken to even agree terms. So what, suddenly we're just gonna, and JJ's gonna be 200 pounds out of shape and get into the ring. Now, he didn't say no. He said, let's do this fairly. Let's do this where we can be on even ground and it can be fair. Let's do this fight in December. Jake then said, let's run it in February. We said, let's run it in February then. That's fine. Let's run it in February. And this is the weight. We'll come up to the 185 that you've been proposing. Then Nikisa said, oh, that was 2 years ago. No, and then we pulled up a tweet that he said this year in 2024, before Jake decided to put on, I don't know how heavy he is, but he's clearly put on some weight for the Tyson fight.
Absolutely. I know it's a super fight and we hope to see it down the line, but I want to pause and take a moment to shift gears back onto Misfits. Obviously, the fans have been asking, they've been calling, Misfits 16. Now, I know you can't reveal who's going to be on the card, but what can they expect from this event coming up?
A really cool non-pay-per-view with some matches that people have wanted to see for a while. And then obviously the return of the king after that.
I was
About
going to say, I
that.
mean, if you do want to reveal anything about Misfits 16, feel free to.
Definitely a tournament match. Definitely a match that everybody's wanted to see. It's a stacked, solid card. I think we're gonna do.
Yeah.
We're gonna be 3 for 3 after 13. 14, 15, and 16 are gonna be solid. I'm almost done with the card, and everyone who knows that they're fighting is training. So yeah, I expect big things for 16, and then 17 is gonna be a bad boy.
I love it. You mentioned the tournament, and I'd love to just capture your thoughts on how both tournaments are going. Obviously, the interim lightweight tournament is a little bit more progressed, and then the cruiserweight tournament just kicked off with Tristan Ham and Le'Veon Bell. What have you made of both?
I think Yuri Gang did amazingly. He got the upset. Some people disagree with the decision. Myself, at the time, I've said this as well. I gave it to Cray Cray, but I wasn't mad that it went to Yuri. I thought it was, there was one swing round basically, and they had 2 rounds apiece. I love Yuri Gang, man. He's such a great guy, and so is Cray Cray. I think the standard is so high, and it's really a fun watch. The cruiserweight tournament. A lot of people said even before the fight happened that the winner of Tristan Ham, Le'Veon Bell, is going to win the tournament. But there's a few guys in there that have something to say about that, including FaZe Temper. Let's see what happens, but it's going to be good. We got one replacement. We've had one injury, so we're getting a replacement sorted out today.
I was talking to Minicon, and he said that he was in conversation to be one of the guys slotted in if there was a pullout. Can we get any confirmation on who the replacement is?
No.
Oh, come on.
I love the digging. I love the digging.
What else am I going to do? Come on.
Well, Mams, I did some investigation. I did a bit of digging myself. And I saw on Twitter, I've seen it's been deleted now, but I saw you tweet, MMA guys, you're up next. Something along the lines of, is this an indication of a potential Misfits MMA possibly on the horizon now?
Yes, absolutely. You're going to see something really cool with this. And I think our schedule is going to be pretty stacked. Misfits has just gone from strength to strength. It's doing incredible numbers. The demand is there. And I think it's time for MMA and the pro boxing elements to start seeping into the shows and then having their own shows. So I think we're in a really good place. I'm excited about it. As a massive MMA fan, this is like a dream come true. It's amazing.
Love it. BL, any last questions?
As always, Mams, you know I like to do this on Misfits News. I'm going to give you the opportunity. Any last words for the Misfits News fans at home? Let them know Mams Taylor's thoughts.
Guys, we have Misfits 16 is going to be really, really fun on pay-per-view. It's going to be a great, great show. 17 is going to be mega. Then the rest of the cards for the rest of the year are going to be unbelievable as well. There's some really cool things going on, some really cool concepts, some conversations that I can't share, Ben. But I will say it's exciting stuff. I think everyone knows this now, and it's difficult to argue. The facts are there. Jake Paul is a duck.
Quack, quack.
I love it. Mams Taylor, as always, thank you for the time, sir. We can't wait to see you soon.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Well, Ben, let's navigate our way back to Misfits Boxing. And a big question that everyone has, Misfits 16, who's the headliner? Who is going to be the pay-per-view card here? Well, we may have the answer for you.
Absolutely, BL. Once Misfits 15 finished, we did a little bit of investigating, some research, a deep dive, you might call it, and I think we've got a pretty good idea of what's up next. Mams Taylor tweeted a cryptic tweet stating, quite literally, MMA guys, you're up next, BL. I think that can only mean one thing. It's some mixed martial arts individuals headlining a card.
Well, there's 2 mixed martial art fighters go back and forth, and there's been build-up for a while now. We've covered it on Misfits News a lot, and it's Dylan Dennis and Mike Perry. Again, they're tweeting about it. I think it's the fight that's going to be made. Misfits MMA, it's been said so many times. I think we're going to see the first fight of Misfits MMA.
I'm not sure about Dylan Dennis because, again, the guy is just a complete, in my opinion, waste of time. And it would be annoying to once again platform someone that doesn't want to fight, doesn't want to show up and try to win. So, I mean, if we get a guy like Mike Perry, I'd want someone that's going to meet him toe-to-toe, give it to him, and create a banger. Dylan Dennis is not that guy. Outside of the main event, it kind of leads me to believe that Misfits 16 might have just more of an MMA emphasis overall, which kind of gets me thinking Amadeus Ferrari
Oh,
back
I'd love to
again. I
see
mean,
that.
that would be. Let's get this guy back. I mean,
Yes.
as soon as we can, I want to see Ferrari back on Misfits. Maybe it's Anthony Taylor, which would be weird as hell, giving him a title shot off of a loss to Saul Poppy. But I just want to see Ferrari back in there. People like Ferrari. I think that would reignite the fires of crossover boxing.
Absolutely, Ben. But I'm going to ask you the question. Obviously, you're into MMA. You know these guys. Where do you think this fight should be made? We've had a couple events now in the US. We've had one in the UK. Where would you place this event?
This would make a lot of sense within the United States, maybe a New York, maybe a Los Angeles. I think that could be where it sells out the most. And I believe that Dylan Dennis and Mike Perry could absolutely do a 5,000 seat arena. Would not be stunned. If you look at Dennis's build up to the Logan Paul fight, he got what, 2 billion impressions in 6 months or something on Twitter. And that's just one platform. That's not even counting, the YouTube videos created about it, the Instagram posts that were assisting in the buildup. So I believe that could absolutely do 5,000 seats, if not more.
Well, Ben, another fight that's really interested me, that threw me off, to be honest. I never thought I'd hear this person say he wanted to step in the ring, is Luke the Nuke Littler. Now, some people may not know who he is. He's a darts professional, a young talent of the UK, and he says he wants to step in the ring with Bevo.
Oh, man, I like everything about this except for the opponent. Luke the Nuke inside Misfits is perfect. He was at Leeds. He was there in January at the event. I think he had a great time. Clearly, he was on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani and spoke and said, I want to mix it up. Mentioning Bevo is funny to me because, again, I don't like Bevo, and I think Luke could absolutely smack him up. But unfortunately, that's because they're 100 pounds apart. Bevo is Bevo's a twig. Luke's is a huskier guy. So, I think Luke the Nuke versus a Ben Knights. I think that would be pretty
Exactly
fun.
what I was thinking.
Luke the Nuke versus SX or I don't
He's a
know.
great opponent. I think
Just
yes, as you say, it needs to be in that heavyweight division. I don't want to
Yeah.
see Luke the Nuke cut. It would look weird. His personality is bulky. He needs to go in
Yeah.
there full power and knock someone out round one. That's what I need to see. That dart punch straight in that right hand.
And I'll say this, I mean, in a general note, it's great to see crossover boxing get some shine and some mention on a show like the MMA Hour. It's the biggest mixed martial arts show on the planet, and Luke the Nuke is saying, hey, I want Bevo on it, which is just great to see. I mean, hey, we're getting the rub. That's what matters. It is great to be back on Misfits News, and what an episode. You heard it here first. All the updates and latest happenings in the world of crossover combat sports. We'll see if the Nightmare KSI does return sooner than anticipated. As always, I've been your host, Ben the Bane Davis, joined by my co-host, BL. Remember to like, subscribe, and join us every Tuesday and Thursday for more updates. Until next time, take care, and we'll see you soon.